Welcome to New Game Plus TV, live on Twitch. You might be watching us on Twitch, on C31, C44, or listening as a podcast. My name's Cringe. And this week we have we thought last week's episode was thick. Or was it the week before? This is quite possibly the thickest episode we've ever had. We have with us Meg, Em, Jason, and Don. And what we're seeing is not the order that you might be seeing on... Just because we're going to be doing a quiz on it in a little bit. Yeah, no, that's the OBS Ninja doesn't organize it in the same way, and I certainly have not. So it's going to be a chaotic show. So I hope you're ready for it. How's everyone sort of? Have we adjusted to being out of lockdown proper? Is that the general sort of vibe?
I'm ramping back up, that's for sure. I'm definitely taking it one day at a time. Overstimulation, the sun. There's lots happening.
Yeah, speaking of the sun, Jason got a little bit overstimulated by the sun today.
I put sunscreen on, but again, that's what happens when it's 23 degrees and your genetic profile is at least 70%.
23.
Yeah.
It was only 23 today. I'm pretty sure. I don't think it got much higher than that.
Nah, I'm not looking forward to...
Don't get me wrong, it was a nice drive because I had to drive up towards Ballarat in the MX-5, so it's fucking great. It was a nice drive and it wasn't so hot, the thing, but yeah, obviously Australian UV, and I mean, I'm always pretty careful on it. My mother, one of the very few things that I learnt off my mother, it was an old line that she had was, you can turn bread into toast, but you can't turn toast back into bread. So if you're not insistent on getting wrinkles and tans, don't do it. Just don't, because you can't turn it back into bread. And so being the white Irish boy I am, I'm fine with bread. It's fine. Like, yeah.
Bread's tasty.
Yeah, see? I'm all with bread.
That's the takeaway from this week on New Game Plus. Coming up on the show this week, Meg, you are going to be talking about Bugsnax because it is one of the few PS5 exclusives that, well, it's a true PS. No, it's not a true PS5 exclusive. We have only just determined that, but you're having a really fun time with it.
Yeah, it's actually one of the first
depression.
titles. Yeah, oh my gosh, I was telling the guys off stream before that it's given me a new lease on life. It's the game I didn't know I needed, and I've loved every second of diving into this one. So I can't wait to review it.
Don, you have been playing more of Number Go Up in Destiny something light. What was
Beyond
it called?
Light, yes.
There you go.
Yes, it is. Basically it's Numbers Go Up game 2K21. And considering it's been a real heated couple of days, and just the weather's been super hot here in Melbourne, to be able to play this game set in on an icy cold tundra of Europa, it's been mildly comforting, but also mindless because ultimately numbers go up. So I have my thoughts on that later in the show.
Numbers go up is important. Em, you've been playing Miles Morales not on PS5. To your dismay, Jason has a PS5 that is not currently in use, but you're playing it on the last gen.
You're living in the fine by me that Jason has an unused PS5. That's so fine.
I can see it just sitting over there. They are ludicrously sized.
Cool.
It's so big, box.
Just out of frame.
I think Cardi was describing the size of his PS5, and I think he said it went up to his his knees or shins or something like that. So it's the equivalent of two of these water bottles stacked on top of one another tall,
which
the
size of a small child.
So it's not as heavy as the Xbox. That's one. Maybe because the Xbox is more dense, more condensed, but it doesn't feel as heavy as the Xbox. But it's the outer box is like this. It's crazy. It's
just 95% packing peanuts. It's actually small.
And fans like
And finally, Jason, you have been playing Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity.
My Switch. Well, there's a PS5 just sitting there. Doing fucking nothing. Yes, I've been playing Hyrule Warriors Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Yeah, the AOC joke. Yeah, cool. I'm glad that you did that. We don't talk about politics on the show anyway.
It's a Muso game. I mean, we can go into more detail about it. It's a Muso game.
But it's a more interesting story than Zelda Breath of the Wild.
But that's not hard because Breath of the Wild was not. Yeah, I mean, I'll have that conversation in a second, so that's fine.
Cool. Before we get into all of that, though, we've got not the news of the week. We've got Don quizzing us on the news of what I'm guessing is just the last week-ish in Quiz Time event.
Yes, for the week ended 26th of November 2020. I will quiz you all on the news events of the past week. To buzz in, just simply raise your hand, say your name, and let's just kick things off, shall we?
Ready. Pumped. Let's do this.
Just practicing your buzzing in right there.
Yeah.
Why were certain Amazon UK customers upset when they received air fryers, Nerf guns, or cat food in the mail? What were they hoping to get instead?
Oh, Megan.
Meg?
Were they pre-ordering a PS5 and got a mixed-up delivery shipment? I feel like it's on brand.
I wouldn't say mixed up. I'll give you that anyway. But they were expecting
Here it
PS5s. They didn't. We should have answered correctly then, Jason.
Yeah.
Instead, their orders were intercepted or stolen or what have you, and ultimately their deliveries were replaced with appliances, toys, or even, yes, cat food. Amazon has issued a statement pledging to, quote, put it right with each of the affected customers. So far, though, this has basically just meant every one of those customers has gotten a £10 Amazon voucher.
Jeff's dropped everything. He's got off the yacht. He's running now to the airport. He's going, I'm gonna fix this. Even if it costs me $65 billion, I'm gonna get the fuck out of here. Anyways.
I don't think any of that crossed Jeff's mind for a second. Like,
No,
that's
I'm
not.
sure, yeah.
He's just using his newfound riches to buy the billions of dollars he makes every minute to
He's
just snap
plotting
up
how
all
to
the
kill Superman.
PS5s.
He's plotting how to kill Superman. That's how this story goes.
Speaking of Superman, I guess, IO Interactive announced that it is working on a new game based on what property, Jason?
It's James Bond. It's 007.
Correct. James Bond. Yes, indeed. Yeah, James Bond is what IO Interactive is now working on. Mind you, the last
I'm just
game...
doing it so early because I can't beat him, so yeah.
Yeah, mind you, the last Bond game that we got was 007 Legends back in 2012, which, by the way, has a Metacritic score in the 40s. Let's just hope that this one has at least a 007 out of 10. Correct response.
But wouldn't that be worse? It was a .007 out of 10. That's like 1/100th of a point. That's dumb. Shut up, Donald. You're a math boy. You should know better than that.
Worst review ever. 7 thumbs up.
Yes.
Square Enix announced 2 titles on the one day. What were they?
That was
Jason?
one of them was Kingdom Hearts. Not Kingdom Hearts. Fucking The World Ends With You.
Chloe, the stupid name.
Twirly. The 3D one. And what was the other game that they announced? Oh my god, I had it in my head.
I'll give you a clue. It's about to hit a 25th anniversary next year.
Tomb Raider, the stupid Tomb Raider game.
Correct. Square Enix announced both Neo, The World Ends With You, and Tomb Raider Reloaded, which is actually an action arcade free-to-play mobile game.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
See, the only lesson here is lurk in our Discord and be a complete fucking loser, and then you might know some of these questions Don's going to ask you. Wait till Luke links it for the 3rd time. That's how you'll know.
The key here is to always scroll up. Always scroll up. Read every post.
I promise you, if you wrote it in our Discord, I read it. Like that. I'm just be clear about that.
Just the caveat: feel free to like in our Discord. Just don't like in general. Like in every other channel is better.
Join us in sports where we talk about Formula 1 and Destiny. You know, that sport.
Okay. We chat in Lamau is all you need.
Yeah. Look, I'm going to price this right there, so everyone take a guess at what dollar value I'm talking about here. In US dollars, how much will it cost for a year's worth of access to the Fortnite Crew subscription offering? I'll start with you, Jason.
US dollars?
US dollars.
$143.99. No, wait, $143.75 so that I don't go over.
Jack. No, sorry. Meg.
For Fortnite?
Yes.
A
year's worth of Fortnite.
Oh, a year's worth. Okay, so no, okay.
Oh, yeah, no, for Fortnite for a year.
Yeah, I'll go $199. Let's do that.
$199.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 170, so I'm in the middle of those two.
Jack?
$149.99.
Jason did the maths in his head because it is $143.88 for a year's worth of Fortnite Crew subscription, $11.99 US per month, which gets
12 by 12 minus 12. I should have, I just did 75 to keep myself. So I kind of did so you should have the hint that 12 by 12.
Yep. It'll come with exclusive content, full Battle Pass access, and 1,000 V-Bucks per month. Meanwhile, you can get Game Pass for a very simple amount of money.
Get my Game Pass.
No one get Game Pass.
So dumb.
It isn't a new Game Pass stream without at least some form of Game Pass.
I'm shilling for Game Pass.
If you're going to get Game Pass, do the cheeky live to Game Pass conversion anyway, because you're coming out so much better on top.
In a Steamworks,
just use Jack's one like I'm doing.
Shut up. We're going to fix that later, okay?
In a Steamworks developer post, Valve said that over 60% of Steam players do what?
Sin?
Drink water? Breathe air? Fucking hell. What kind of dumb question is this?
Meg?
Play games?
Refund their games. Play it for 5 minutes. Found it. Okay.
No, there is the culture of EV trading EV rental hasn't quite spread to Steam yet. Em, did you have your hand up there?
I was going to say cheat.
No.
60? Yeah.
Wouldn't be
That's a
that
lot
high.
of cheaters.
There's some shady people.
Any wild guesses from Jack or Jason?
60% of Steam players.
Yes.
60% of Steam players. I guess write a review.
Nope. Jack.
Use trading cards?
Close.
No one uses trading cards.
Well, apparently they do, so.
They use a controller. 60% of Steam users use a controller. They said this as
okay. That's an interesting one, Donald. Well done.
A genuinely fun fact.
Yeah, it's quite. That's mildly interesting. Thank you.
that basically sums up my entire MO, doesn't it? Mildly interesting. The Donald Wong story. By the way, that was part of a blog post that announced that the client beta has added support for the PS5's DualSense controller. If games will support the DualSense controller's functions is an entirely different question.
Well, the way that Steam did it with the PS4 controller, because it was never
it
was always a weird middle ground. So you had to adapt the PS4 controller through Steam Big Picture, which was continues to be a nightmare.
And we have gotten to the final part of this edition of Quiz Time events. We're in the current age where we're celebrating the best games of the previous generation. But what about the worst games of the previous generation? I'm going to give you 2 games from certain years of the previous generation. You need to tell me which one had the lower OpenCritic score. So in 2013, I've got a pair of sports games for you. Which one had a lower score? NBA Live 14 or Rugby World Cup 2015?
Oh, Megan.
NBA Live for my money.
It's a this or that sort of thing. So we'll start with you, Jack.
Rugby.
Rugby. M?
I'm also going to say rugby.
Rugby. Meg?
I do rugby 100%.
And Jason?
NBA.
The contrarian. Risky strategy. NBA Live 14 had a OpenCritic score of 44. Rugby World Cup 2015 had an OpenCritic score of 24.
Yes.
It must have been real bad because NBA Live wasn't great. So.
That is
it was not great.
I love Aussie developers, love Aussie game devs, but sports games have just never.
There's no budget. The budget that to make even like a Pro Evo would still be $50 million. And
I know there are players banging for a new AFL game. I think people would pay any money for a new one that's actually good.
Just go back and play AFL 99 on the PS1, and that's still the best one. That's still
or AFL on the original NES.
That's number 2, and then number 1 is AFL 99. It's really good.
Anyways, let's move on to 2015, where 90s rehashes were the flavor. What had a lower score? Carmageddon Reincarnation or Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5? We'll start with M.
Purely for the name, I'm going to go Carmageddon.
Meg?
You can't just drop a Tony Hawk's bomb and compare it. So I'm really going to choose Carmageddon, as if.
Jason?
Tony Hawk 5 was real bad, Megan. I think you're underestimating how bad it was. I'm going with Tony Hawk.
Jack?
Look, 5 was terrible, but Carmageddon it just sounds too bad, so Carmageddon.
It does, doesn't it?
It was so bad that I got a 45 on OpenCritic. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5 got a 32.
Yeah.
Whoa!
It was real bad. And it's funny because you children, did you play the old Carmageddon like from your grandpa's days or no? No. It was such a good game. It was like you had to run people over, and there was nuclear waste, and
doing a live Google.
Doing a live Google. Just pause the Zoom call. Splat.
Let's cover art.
There's a movie called Carmageddon.
Oh, was that made by Uwe Boll?
Is it Uwe Boll? Yeah, so I think it's an Uwe Boll.
Plus movie night.
Oh God! Anything but that.
Okay, so what's a Carmageddon movie? What else? We need a second Uwe Boll movie, so Alone in the Dark, and for the hell of it, Pixels.
Oh.
No, because you don't want Gerard there.
Gerard was going to get really excited about it, and I really don't want that to happen. So
I'm hoping. No. I'm hoping by the time that Pixels comes around, it will be Pumpkin O'Clock for him.
He's getting old now.
Pumpkin?
Yeah, he's getting old now. He used to be like the only person who'd be up at 4 a.m. on Discord was me, Cloney, and I could message Dermy if I needed something done for the website. But no, he's getting too old for it now.
Let's move on to 2017, where we have some some tie-ins. Which one had the lower score? Reservoir Dogs Bloody Days, or Saban's Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Mega Battle?
Oh,
I'll start with Meg for this one.
Reservoir Dogs, 100%.
Reservoir Dog had the lower one.
Yeah.
Jason?
Yeah, I'm going to go with that because the problem is there's been like 3 or 4 decent Power Rangers games lately, but
This
I don't
was
remember
not
that
one of
name.
them.
Yeah, right.
So you're going Rezo Dogs as well, Jack?
Power Rangers.
Power Rangers, M.
I'm gonna say Reservoir Dogs.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Like again, we've always another 3-in-1 split in this one. Except it was right to be the contrarian in this one because Reservoir Dogs had an open critic score of 43. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers had an open critic score of 42.
Oh, that was slim pickings, Don.
Classic Donald.
Yeah.
Like I said in the before we started recording, it's basically this round is basically a coin flip, which moves us to 2019. And when Switch ports started getting really bad, which one had the lowest score? FIFA 20 Legacy Edition or Devil May Cry 2 Switch Edition? We'll start with Jason for this one.
Oh, that's a toughie. It's got to be FIFA because they didn't change it. So
it is the one where they changed literally nothing from the previous year apart from the roster. Jack.
What did DMC2 release on? Was it PS2?
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
DMC2.
That was on the Diesel crossover.
Oh, FIFA.
FIFA?
God.
M.
I'm gonna say DMC just to have a break in the votes.
You want to vote the norm, yeah.
Meg, are you going to join the contrarianism or stick with the crowd?
I'll probably say Faith. Yeah.
Faith?
Yeah. No one likes
you would be right in saying that because Devil May Cry 2 got a lofty 48 compared to FIFA 20's 40.
Facts.
Yep.
Ooh.
And finally, let's go to 2020. We've got a pair of debacles here. Which one had the lowest score? Cooking Mama Cookstar or Fast and Furious Crossroads? We'll start with Jack for this one.
Wasn't that Cooking Mama the one that got them in like copyright trouble?
The one that got pulled off shelves, the digital
Mama.
shelves because of rights issues.
Yeah, Cooking Mama.
Cooking Mama. M.
What was the other one besides Cooking Mama?
Fast and Furious Crossroads.
I'm going to say Fast and Furious because that did not look like a moment that I wanted to be a part of. I don't know.
I'm going to definitely say Fast and Furious. I'm Cooking Mama advocate.
Jason.
Yeah, I'm Fast and Furious as well.
You would be correct because Cooking Mama Cookstar, despite the story around it, got a open critic score of 46. Fast and Furious Crossroads got a 38.
Yeah, right.
Mama for life. Yeah.
Yep. So at the end of all of that, Jack, you have ended up on 3 points. M, you've ended up on 2 points.
Ooh.
Meg, you have got 4 points. Jason, the conspiracy is on, or is it? Because you've got 6 points.
Hey.
And have taken this additional quiz time events.
He did.
Yeah, okay, so again, understand that the only reason I won was because the other cretin who's as bad as me, Galia, isn't here. Like, so don't be like, oh damn, I didn't win. It's like, no, you're a real fucking functioning human being, unlike us. So
You're a person with a life.
Even in victory, you are nice and salty.
And for what it's
I
worth,
want to set up Galia in chat, so it
Jamie's
works.
in chat. You're like, Jamie's
That's
not
what I
here.
wanted to do.
Jamie's here.
We love you, Jamie.
Thank you for that quiz time event, Don. You're hanging out with us here on New Game Plus. Stick around. We got more video game goodness coming up in a little bit. Hanging out with us here on New Game Plus TV, live on Twitch. You might be watching on C31, C44, or listening as a podcast. I'm Cringe, here with Meg, Don, M, and Jason, the thickest New Game Plus show that we've done it in at least quite a while.
I put on a little bit of weight during lockdown, okay?
That's rude. That's
I'm
rude.
fully aware.
Compliment.
I didn't mean individually. I meant, whatever. Lockdown was an experience. I
Dig
don't
up,
think
stupid.
anyone that has said, I haven't put on a little bit over lockdown, how? Like, just flat out. Put on
Following their
6.
dreams and using all their free time to get ripped, get shredded for summer, maybe.
I don't have the energy.
You were so shitty. That was so pointed towards like 2 people in your Insta feed. That has to be true.
I'm also hating myself for not being one of those people, but also loving loafing.
You haven't been making sourdough starters like everyone else on my Insta feed?
Banana bread.
No, but I've been drinking a lot of
whipped coffee with
You're
whisk.
just genuinely the most yuppie person I've ever met, Dom. I mean, it's appropriate that Yuppieville was the old name because, I'm just like, all my friends are making sourdough starters. Like, fuck off, Donald. Like, Jesus Christ.
Well, I've used this time to I've used this time to develop my skills in the New York Times crossword. Thank you very much.
That's awesome.
Jesus Christ.
I put it in the frame. That's about it.
Meg, you have been playing Bugsnax recently, which has just made your life infinitely better across the board, is my understanding.
Yeah, it's definitely turned my ISO frown upside down. That was actually just off the cuff, that one. I was inspired by John. I'm really
Oh, Lord.
It's spreading.
I'm really excited to
She's got
review
the
this one.
Bugsnax. Yeah.
Oh, not only has it got the most catchiest catchphrase, which I haven't stopped singing since it came out. I think that the trailer, the soundtrack has like almost 1 million views on YouTube, but that's a fact for later in the review. Essentially, I picked up the PlayStation 5 on launch day, which was one of the most anticlimactic console launches of my entire generation. Being like in a queue with ISO restrictions going to the shopping center was not great. But essentially, this bad boy is made by Young Horses, one of the indie developers based in the US, and they're famous, I'd say famous, for another previous title in their repertoire, which is Octodad. Have you guys played Octodad at all?
Nobody suspects a thing.
It was good up until the last boss.
Did Don cosplay Octodad at some point?
No, but
Maybe
I did review
that?
it for New Game Plus way back, which you can see that review on newgameplus.tv.
Plus.tv. Yeah,
It actually sold 1 million copies of Octodad, which is pretty epic. But essentially, there's a few experienced devs in this team, and it's come out on PS4 and PS5, and also Epic Game Store. But it's free on PlayStation Plus, so I had to get my hands on it. I think as part of like just owning a next gen console now is having that subscription under your belt. But essentially, it's really exciting because it's actually going to be free on PlayStation Plus until January, because the stock for the console itself is really hard to get. So they still want people to get their hands on it for an extended period of time. So after this review, if you think it's for you, it's definitely worth having a look at. But essentially, I know you guys are asking me, I see all your faces. You're like, what the hell is a Bugsnax?
What does it mean?
Oh, Jack, thank you for asking.
Tell me why.
You can still claim it, but you can still claim it on PSN, by the way. Not that I told you that, and not that we can send a link in Discord if you need it.
Oh, for real? Like without a PS5, you can claim it?
As long as you have PS Plus, you can still claim it. You just don't need a PS5. Just FYI.
Okay.
Nice. Well, essentially, Bugsnax, well, they're not animals, but they're not plants. But essentially, they're like a mishmash of the two together with the punniest names on Earth, similar to Pokemon, basically. So say, for example, there's a thing called a Frider, which is like a spider made of fries, approximately 56,500 calories. A shishka bug, which is like a meaty ant made of tomatoes and onions and toothpicks, approximately 25,000 calories. And a bunga, which is like an aggressive burger and fries that looks like a dung beetle and like little elephant tusks. So if I haven't sold you already on like the premise of, I guess, what these little insects are, the narrative will soon swoop you in. So hear me out. All right. So there's a beautiful narrative that hooks you in straight away once you open the title sequence. You're essentially a journalist that can't catch a break, and you get wind of a story by an island leader and passionate adventurer, Lisbeth Megafig. She's a Bugsnax catching expert, but when you arrive to interview her for your one and only chance at saving your job, she's nowhere to be found. In fact, she's missing. And so your job is to help the island, help find her, and bring all the Grumpuses, which are the adorable Sesame Street figures you might have seen in the promo art and the trailer, Grumpuses, help them from the island, get everyone back together again, and solve the mystery of where Liz has disappeared to. So basically, where you're set is this location, this beautiful island called Snacktooth Island. And essentially there was an earthquake and this whole like monumental moment which kind of unravels as you explore and help the Grumpuses, and they give you clues when you help them with their little island problems. So you've got like a main guy on the island who's like your go-to mayor, who's a self-appointed mayor. He thinks he's fantastic and no one else seems to think that, but he's working hard and trying to make friends, and there's full of like lots of wholesome dialogue as you chat to them all as you still do the puzzles. So I guess the kind of gameplay it is first person, and it's like a puzzle game where you're exploring, chatting to the islanders, and catching these Bugsnax. And essentially, the premise is kind of like this transformative experience that's called snackification. So say you caught the bunga, the frida, or the shish kebab, like I just name dropped then, your little limbs would turn into the fruit that they're made of. So you've got these like little... Yeah, Jason's face is fantastic. It's
like did they hire Justin Roiland to do all the naming? I mean, what was it? The Plumbuses? What the Grumbles? It's just like I'm watching Rick and Morty. Morty, with the Grumbles. Like,
they do sound like that. They actually do.
It is like that, yeah.
Voice acting, actually, and the tone of voice for me hits home because it's just like Toy Story. It's got some really fantastic humor that's great for adults, but also hits the kids as well. So it just makes me smile the whole way. It's got some great dialogue and really nice typography and fonts and accessibility options for people that depend on how they like to play. So I think everyone has like a little icon. So in the text on screen, you can, if you can't hear them say their names, or if you have trouble reading English, you can still, whatever language, you can still identify who they're telling you to talk to and progress. As it's kind of like a Spider-Man map. I think this is like the dumbest thing I've ever said, but there's a map that as you progress, like you unveil these new areas of the island, and you can't progress until you've solved all the mysteries on each section. And what I thought was a really nice flavor is that it has like a time of day cycle, and some Bugsnax only come out at night, so you can't do all the missions at once. You have to come back and try again later.
It's like the weird parts of Pokemon, and bear with me, but like the Pokemon RPG, people play for like the basic rock, paper, scissors stuff, right? But what if all of the weird quests and like, oh, why do I have to go to this lake on the other side of the goddamn continent? Like all of that weird shit was an entire game. But just like really, really happy, like just super duper upbeat all the time.
Indeed,
I got to cut in quickly. I'd like to say the stupidest thing you ever said was I'd like to be on New Game Plus. But the from the looks of it, like I say, like I played Trover Saves the Universe. Like this straight up looks like a Justin Roiland game. Like this is like the guys from Octodad turned around to like Justin Roiland and said, "Do you want to come produce our game for us?" Like, did you play Octodad? Megs, like the thing with Octodad was obviously that real absurdity to it. It's like no one just notices the fact that the dad's now an octopus, and everyone just seems fine with it. Does it have that element to it, or is it just kind of? It seems like it's gone a bit of a different way with the silliness and the humor.
Yeah, I don't think they've copied and pasted that formula in any way, shape, or form. They've just used the creative experience that's unlike any other kind of game itself. It really has its own USP that sets it apart from any other kids adventure game. It doesn't
USP,
really.
Sorry?
Pardon?
USP, sorry?
Unique selling point. Soz.
I wonder what you do for work, me.
Yeah, a little bit. I think it's really whimsical and funny, and I think it plays to its strengths and doesn't pretend to be something it's not in terms of like it kind of has a Pokemon Snap feel because there's a lot of taking photos and scanning for new Bugsnax, and it fills up your diary, your journal planner, and as you collect clues to solve where Liz Megafig has disappeared to, all the little villagers help you, and it collects in your journal and things like that. But that's the major outline. But the minor quests, which I guess is the charm of the game, is actually exploring all the different locations on the map and doing things to help all the local islanders, and each what do you call them? Bugsnax has a technicality of like how you catch them. Sometimes you have to shoot them with chocolate or tomato sauce for other Bugsnax to be attracted to them. So then you can trap them in your cage and take them back to the islanders. Look, of
course. Yeah. My mistake. Yeah.
It's not as easy as it sounds, and maybe it is for you guys, but I really loved using my brain to solve the puzzles, and it got harder as the game progressed, and it was really satisfying when you end up catching them because sometimes you just like.
How is Philbo not terrified? He's eating the tomato one, his hands turn into a fucking tomato. Yeah. He eats the strawberry one, his foot turns into a straw. Like, obviously, you eat too much animal products, you die of a heart attack. So what you eat affects how you live, but you don't just go, oh shit, my hand is now a hoof. It doesn't
Well,
work
for
like
you,
that.
if you eat too many carrots, your skin does turn
screaming. Like,
Yeah, they actually run out, so you need to replenish, which is why they need your help.
My mistake again. Obviously, I'm just not made for this game.
Well, first off, Jason, if you do eat enough carrots, your skin will turn orange in certain
yes,
cases.
that won't help your eyesight, though. That was a lie from the British to the Germans.
Oh yeah, naturally. But also, like the game does it is like wild, wacky, whimsy times. Like, but the trailer alluded to like a potential dark undertone. Does that follow through? Did they follow through with that in the main game?
Indeed, they did. So the dark undertones is the mystery of Liz Megafig, which I definitely won't spoil for you. But essentially, there's a bigger mystery at play as to where she's gone and why she disappeared for so long without telling a soul. So there's definitely more than meets the eye than these Bugsnax capture puzzles. But it makes it a really fun journey as you unlock secret areas and discover clues. So there's lots of different elements and layers to enjoy as part of the experience.
Semi-related, Megan. Like, so you're saying you played on PS5, yeah?
I did.
How do you find the DualSense controller? Now, like, because me and you have long been Xbox. I think that's how we met, right? And the one thing Microsoft tends to get right is the controller. And even looking at the DualSense, I'm like, it doesn't look good. Like, it doesn't look like the face buttons really look bad. Like, does it feel okay playing this? Like, I don't know. Like, yeah.
I found that it didn't. I was really curious when I started the tutorial with the PlayStation 5 DualShock, like the DualSense, the vibration I'm trying to say, how they did that user experience to really showcase just how great it can be when you invest all
energy,
like the vibrations. I'm so bad with words tonight.
Haptic feedback, it's fine.
Haptic feedback, thank you. But essentially, I didn't think they used any of that to their advantage, really. I didn't really need it. But when you capture a Bugsnax, the sound in the controller, like it's like you've caught it in your controller and it says like kind of thing. And then it didn't really have anything crazy with the vibrations with the game at all. But I don't know. I'm still a huge Xbox fangirl with their controller, and I don't think anything's going to beat it. It feels large in my hands.
The DualSense, because that was always the thing. That was always the complaint about the Xbox One and Xbox 360 controller. Was a lot of people who liked the DualShocks were like, the DualShocks are smaller. So the DualSense, you would say, feels bigger in your hands than the Xbox Series X?
Yeah, I definitely would agree.
As someone with who kind of preferred the dual shock controllers just because of that, that sounds like a risky proposition to go for a slightly larger DualSense. But if there are games that do take advantage of all the haptic feedback and the resistance controls, then it might be worth it. Actually, speaking of that, is Bugsnax a good showcase for your shiny new flashy PS5?
No. I actually wanted to mention I forgot to write this down in my notes that when you travel to different islands, different locations on the island, there's a loading screen, which is like 10 whole seconds between locations. And I was like, you kind of think I'm on a next-gen console where they're all boast about the RAM and the invisible loading times, and this absolutely
it takes a lot of resources to power that bunga.
Bad.
Even with say Assassin's Creed, for example, the maximum load time even after death is like 5 seconds. You know what I mean? So it's really interesting that you say that there were these like obviously noticeable load times on something like Bugsnax.
It's every couple of minutes, whenever, because you're moving around a fair bit, and I definitely noticed that a lot. And I hope that maybe in future updates that they'll look at that, optimizing that once they get their hands on the console for a little bit longer. And I also wanted to say that not only were the environments and the character designs absolutely mind-boggling, I think that actually really helped get it over the line for me, knowing that even though this is fundamentally a kid's game or a really young audience, I think that it just looks
game, if you will,
mind-blowingly beautiful, and I absolutely love the environmental design. I think it's stunning. But also for those trophy hunters out there, it actually has standalone trophy lists for both PS4 and PS5, which is kind of like double the trophies, and it's I guess if you're into that kind of thing, and they'll eventually support save transfers in a future update as well if you've played it.
They don't already.
Oh, great. Amazing.
No, I was asking, like, they don't support that at launch? Like, that
Sony
seems
doesn't
like
even support 2K resolution at the moment. They'll do it if you ask nicely, though.
Who has a 2K TV, though?
Oh, 1440.
People have monitors. They don't have like TVs that are 1440p. Yeah. It's for the nerds. It's absolutely for the nerds.
But I mean, look, I don't know. It's still next gen. You expect anyway. It doesn't matter. That's a different conversation.
So Meg, Bugsnax is a really good game and it makes you feel better about everything, but it is not a great showcase, I guess, of next gen.
Yeah, I think the fact that it's come out on next gen is kind of irrelevant. I think it wasn't really a leader in an indie way for the next gen consoles. But that being said, it's still a must have, especially while you're waiting for AAA releases to come out on next gen. So things like Cyberpunk and things like that you're burning to get your hands on. If you're willing to fill the time with something quality, this is a must check out for sure.
Bugsnax is out now on PS4, PS5, and on the Epic Game Store on PC. And if you have PlayStation Plus, you can claim that through the PS5. The PlayStation Store on the PS5 and the PS4, but I guess also through the website. Right. So you can do that at the moment even if you don't have a PS5.
That's fine. Sure, do it through the website. I'll put it in chat for people.
You're hanging out with us here on New Game Plus TV. Stick around. We got more video game goodness coming up real soon. Hanging out with us here on New Game Plus TV, live on Twitch. You might be with us on C31, C44, or listening to the podcast. I'm Cringe here with Meg, Don, Em, and Jason. And we do like to see number go up. We went up one number from PS4 to PS5 recently. We're not talking about Xbox. Xbox 2 doesn't exist. It's not real. Stop. The naming, like, what is the next Xbox going to be? But we've asked that for the last 3 generations if they've figured it out. The point is, Don loves to make the number go up in Destiny because that's it. But all I know about Destiny 2 is that there are light levels. Are you beyond light, Don?
Oh, like I said, like what's called the pun thing is spreading. It's now hit to you, Jack. Now we just need M to make one, and we've completed the circle.
The expression on like M and Meg's face being like, "Shit, Jack, you've really fallen from grace." Like it is poor form.
You've been hanging around us for far too long.
Yeah, that's true.
Why aren't you playing Destiny like us then, Jack? Huh?
Destiny 2 Beyond Light. Tell me about it.
Yes, Beyond Light. Destiny 2 is now in its 4th year, and in that time, the game got way unwieldy and way lumpy. Even me, as the person who, as the official numbers go up correspondent on this show, like even I was left gag as to what to do next. Lord help anyone who was trying to jump into the game for the first time. So Bungie seemingly recognized this because ironically, the Beyond Light expansion is notable in that it actually takes out a lot of content from the core Destiny 2 experience, which might sound bad. And indeed, like there are a lot of things which are missing between what pre-Beyond Light Destiny and current post Beyond Light Destiny. So there have been a bunch of locations and activities which have been vaulted in the Disney tradition, meaning that they've been put away. They're no longer part of the game or the executable. So 4 planets and their associated strikes and raids are all gone. This is done to focus the experience on the locations where players actually play and to reduce the total file size of the game by like 40%, which is a very good thing.
Was it 40% of like essentially content that they've scrapped?
No, it wasn't quite 40% of content, but 40% of hard drive space. Yes.
Yeah, it's still a decent amount of content either way.
Yeah, but having said that, those were planets where people really didn't play and activities which you kind of did just because the quest demanded that you do so. So, like personally, I don't I'm not particularly too cut up about the loss. But like it is a thing that certain planets have been taken out of the game, and additionally, older weapons have been sunsetted as well, meaning that they can no longer be powered up, and so the number can't no longer go up on the older weapons and armor, which means that they've basically been rendered obsolete. Bungie did this in order to try and shake up the meta, to encourage people to try out the new weapons and armor loadouts, but right now, what this means is that this game is kind of at its shallowest point in terms of the loot pool and the content, and it kind of shows that when you get weapon drops, the weapons you get are kind of repetitive. Although Bungie has recognized this, and they have already started expanding that pool a little bit. So some old favorite weapons will start to drop. So, but ultimately, these changes they're designed for the long-term health of the game. So we are possibly at the worst point to determine whether they'll actually be good for the game or not. Indeed, like we'll probably find out in 3 years from now when we see the already announced Lightfall expansion. So I will say right now though, the load times are really quick, so much quicker than before Beyond Light.
Well,
Sorry, I'm going to cut in there.
Okay, yeah.
No, you go first. You go first.
Right,
it's fine.
cool.
You're casual.
Basically, Destiny's been out for you said 4 years?
Yes, we're in year 4 now.
How are they, why did they retool the game to remove so much content, streamline a lot? From one perspective, I understand that it makes the usability, the experience of playing the game now better. There is less to play though, and you're saying it puts it in better stead for the long term. If you were going to address this later, probably do it later, but does Destiny 2 still have the legs to hold up in 3 years' time?
Like I would argue yes, because of the content that is still left in the game. For one, we're still talking about Destiny here, so the core gameplay loop, even the moment-to-moment gunplay is still the best in the industry. So at the very least, you've got that. You've got the deep, dense Destiny lore, which is full of Bungie-style proper nouns. People if you are interested in that level of storytelling, then Destiny delivers that in spades. Yeah. No, Kate's long gone. Indeed.
G for now. Dun, dun, dun.
Indeed, there was an inventory item called a spicy ramen voucher, which for the longest time was in the game but useless, but still it's there in your inventory. They finally took that out.
So that was one thing. I started playing it not long ago, right? So before all this, because it was free on Game Pass, right? Mm-hmm. Cloney, obviously, from our Discord, plays a bunch of it as well. So I was playing it, and I'm like, so it started me at power level 750, because it just skips the first game basically entirely. And it was so scattered and haphazard that I just said to him basically, I'm like, look, just walk, I'll follow, because I don't know what any of these things are. I have fucking zero idea what I'm meant to be looking at, meant to be going to here. Has it streamlined that? Because I did the Cosmodrome mission, and then I go to the floating whatever, the moon, where I think I was on the moon. I don't fucking know where I was, but it was all these different merchants. Oh, and you can unlock this engram, and you can unlock this, and who the fuck do I talk to? This is dumb. It was so layers on layers on layers on layers. And I'm just
post Beyond Light, or this was beforehand?
This was beforehand. That's what I'm saying.
The experience has gotten so much better since then.
Right. Okay.
Yes. When the game originally went free to play, the new play tried to have something of a new player experience, which was basically drop you in the middle of tower, point you to all these potential vendors, enjoy. Now they've got a much more guided new player experience. So they've, aside from Europa, which is the main new location, they also brought back an old Destiny 1 location in the Russian Cosmodrome, where the original game was set, and where for new players in Destiny 2, you'll go through basically a mini campaign that will introduce that in and of itself tells a little mini narrative, but also introduces you, pretty much takes you on a much more effective breadcrumb trail to what the game has to offer. So you also get slowly introduced to the world, to the basic gameplay loop. Since it's a much more interactive and effective way, really, to introduce new players to the Destiny lifestyle, if you will.
Because I think for me, okay, so that was what kind of not turned me off playing it again, but I'm just if I can't grind this by myself because I don't know what the hell's going on. Okay, so I'll go to this and I'll find some gun that's slightly better level and
can't read
that
scripts,
I get. I've played enough games to know that bit of it. But it's so I talked to this guy for so if that's been streamlined, I think that is going up, because the gameplay is fine, except for my one biggest complaint about every goddamn first-person shooter that ever comes out in a console is, can I turn auto aim off yet? I
believe they added that as part of
finally, because every guy,
Beyond Lights.
If you play it on PC, if you play Destiny on PC, you can turn off auto aim because obviously you don't need it for a mouse.
No.
But you couldn't do it on console, and I'm like, but it's a PvE shooter. I know there's PvP elements, but still let me handicap myself. Call of Duty, for all of its faults, at least I can turn off any kind of aim assist. I can go full Serious Sam strafe aim if I want. And Destiny couldn't do it. So you reckon that they've added it for the new one?
They did add a bunch of modifiers to the console versions of the games. Field of view is now adjustable on the console versions. I'll need to be fact checked on whether auto aim can also be disabled. But they did add a bunch of features to the console versions.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and next year they'll be updating the console versions to the PS5 and Xbox Series versions to make it prettier and load faster.
Do you think they're going to have enough time when Microsoft buys them and makes them make the next Halo game?
They need to buy Calamity first, Jason, don't you know?
Oh, all right, Galia, thank you for that.
But we've been spending a lot of time. No, go on. Sorry.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to know what the cadence so far has been for Destiny's seasonal model in terms of like this content coming out being really substantial. Are they potentially intentionally designing a cyclical pattern to keep the momentum up?
Absolutely. As in, since year 3, possibly year 2, we've had the cadence of a big expansion coming out in the September quarter, then a seasonal pass that you buy into, which gives you 4 3-monthly seasons worth of content. Each of these either like add a new gameplay mechanic, add new weapons, and push the story forward just a little bit. And Destiny Beyond Light is no exception to this. Indeed, once the main thing came out, we immediately went straight into the Season of the Hunt, which introduces, as the name implies, what's called hunt mechanics, which are fine. And it's something I'll get into just in a little bit, because I've not actually talked about what Beyond Light actually adds, does it? Have I?
It takes out all this stuff. Okay, so what am I paying for?
Yes. Well, like I said, you get the Cosmodrome from Destiny 1, which is an environment for the new player experience. Not much else. You also get Europa, which is one of the which is an icy moon, which what is like basically it's a whole new map with its own set of activities and the campaign and whatnot. And I have to say up front, like, it is one of the finest environments that Bungie has designed today. Like Destiny already has some fantastic art direction and art style, and it is incredibly easy to make snow environments look majestic. And yes, I am a very simple and easily amused person, but the art direction just goes over and beyond here to make Europa strikingly desolate.
Bungo's always done good skybox, so
oh yeah, absolutely, and like even now they've got good snow as well. Indeed, the game Europa also has dynamic weather effects as well, which can throw a snowstorm on you at any moment. As for the campaign itself, it's fine. Like, I'm not going to bore any of you with the proper nouns that Destiny likes to throw at you. I'm not going to try
dozens.
Yeah, I'm not going to throw at you talk to you about the Elixir or the Exo Stranger or Clovis Bray or anything like that.
As Jason very audibly yawns in the corner.
I'm like, cool. When does Master Chief show up? Like, I don't know, man. Like, I've always respected like Bungo's ability to make a fun game. Like, you know, Halo was a different style of shooter to COD, and that was what worked for it, and that was why 5 failed so significantly, because they tried to make it Call of Duty. But like, Bungo's core gameplay is there, but I don't know who's been writing the narrative for this. Like, it's not Blizzard bad, where they have to keep retconning themselves because they keep writing themselves into corners. But I'm just like, I have no idea who any of the fuck these people are. Like, what's my attachment to it?
Beyond Light isn't going to help you out, but Destiny stories, these big yearly expansions, they're kind of at their best when they manage to tell a coherent standalone story whilst alluding to the bigger picture without throwing too many proper nouns. For the Forsaken campaign in 2018 probably did the best job. Someone killed Cade. You need to get revenge on them. Great. 29th, the Shadowkeep expansion from last year definitely leaned too hard in the grander story side of things. So it was just throwing around concepts of the darkness and the period of an error's morn and the moon is haunted. I don't care. This one, you at least have a clear antagonist, like what's called alien lady. Like just to sort of just boil it down, alien ladies trying to harness the darkness to destroy Earth and the Traveler. You need to stop her. You have at least a clear antagonist. You have a clear path to take it down, even if the stakes aren't presented as greatly as
Shadowlands sounds great.
Yeah. But also more interestingly for the people who care about the deeper Destiny lore, it feeds into the greater narrative over the next 3 years as you start to embrace the very darkness that you've been fighting against for so long. And you get some good character moments out of it, especially with your Ghost Traveler, who has to reconcile this arbiter of light. It has to reconcile you embracing the darkness. You get to for a game that is pretty light on in terms of character moments. This game the Beyond Light does deliver some, and it's kind of decent in that regard. Having said that, in terms of the actual gameplay, the campaign isn't without its flaws because, like I said, like we've said at this in every Destiny review, it's ultimately about numbers go higher to the point where certain points of the campaign are locked behind having a certain light requirement, which means you have to grind, do the activities like public event strikes, PvP, until you get enough loot drops to get your power up
and
to
get beyond
the right level. Yeah. Thanks, Dad. The game does this too many times. It kind of like it halts any potential momentum that the story may have. I will say as well, like the game does introduce like this whole wielding the darkness thing. In practice, it means that you get a new subclass. Previously, you could go for the fire, the lightning, the void subclasses. They introduce a fourth one here, stasis, which is the ice elemental class, which means that your abilities and supers, they can slow down enemies, they can potentially freeze them, you can create icy barriers and platforms as well. It's not the game changer that the trailers made them out to be, or what you'd hope for from a fourth subclass, but it's there, and the execution is mostly fine, though. Freezing is still very OP despite the nerfs. So Bungie is receptive to balancing pretty quickly and on the fly. Hopefully they'll continue to do so with stasis over the coming months.
I guess the question that I want to wrap up on is that you've said that Beyond Light addresses a lot of the usability stuff. It has added some new content. It's gotten rid of some of the content previously, but we've established that's not really a loss. What's left to do? Like this game, I don't want to be too reductive and overstep a little bit and be like Destiny 2 was kind of just an extension of Destiny 1, but Destiny 1 felt like this is the next gen. Like we can launch on PS3 and 360, but the experience felt pretty limited. Destiny 2, when it launched, to a lot of people was just like, oh, it's just more Destiny. Now we've had 4 years of Destiny 2. What work is there yet to be done to keep this game relevant over the next 3 years, both for current players, which it seems like that's where most of the points it's addressed has been, and also attracting new players, I guess, as it grandfathers into Destiny 3 in 4 years' time.
They've said that there is no plan to have Destiny 3. Their plan is just to tend to Destiny 2, just to keep on adding new content. And indeed, that is what Destiny 2 will have to do to keep the game playable, is just to keep adding content, to keep adding worthwhile content, because it could easily just fall into the trap of having you do the exact same small gameplay loop of do your bounties, do your strikes, occasionally dive into PvP if you must. But like the season, the annual pass and the quarterly seasonal content helps to bolster up the amount give you more things to do in this game. And like indeed, we've already started to see them add content even just in the first 3 weeks of Beyond Light. As we've had a bunch of quest for exotic weapons drop. Some of them are much better than others. Like some essentially just evolve into shoot lots of people. Others are a bit more interesting in that regard. We've also had the addition of the latest raid, the Deep Stone Crypt, which I've not played yet because I haven't got my numbers up quick enough. But the Destiny community, the members of the Destiny community that have played through that raid, they've had nothing but glowing praise for it. They've called it one of the better raids to date.
Well, look, I will still not be getting into Destiny 2. Jason may still be a little bit frustrated to continue playing because, as it turns out, Plony's just said in chat, the auto-aim has not been... you cannot disable auto-aim yet on console, so you're just going to have to deal with that for a bit longer, mate. For everyone else, Destiny 2 Beyond Light is out now on PS4, Xbox One, PC, Stadia. And the wiki page is saying Xbox Series and PS5. Are there any changes to the game beyond... like 4K, graphical settings,
4K resolution support, and faster loading, optimization for the big console. Basically, everything you expect. I kind of want to just put a bow on all of this, just to say that Beyond Light ultimately represents a reset button for the state of Destiny. So we'll see whether the vaulting of content, whether the sunsetting of weapons and armor, whether that'll have a beneficial impact on the game's long-term health. But here and now, Beyond Light, the campaign is satisfactory, if short, and it will be made up for over the coming year by the drip feed of content. And if you want to get into this game as a new player, I would say that with the updated new player experience, like it is almost the best time to get into Destiny. And I'm not just saying this just because I want more people on New Game Plus to play, Jason.
I'll get to it after Monster Hunter, and I still want to play Ghost of Tsushima for Game of the Year.
No, we're not going through the list. You're with us here on New Game Plus TV. Stick around. We've got more video game goodness coming up real soon. You do be vibing here on New Game Plus TV live on Twitch, potentially C31, C44, or Apple or Spotify podcast. I'm Cringe here with Meg, Don, M, and Jason. And if I wasn't out of my depth on the Destiny review, I will be out of my depth on the Spider-Man review because, well, I mean, that's most reviews. But Spider-Man was a game that a lot of people loved a bunch. Jason came through with another spicy take, being like, I'm fucking Spider-Man. That was the extent of the take. But people loved it. Was Spider-Man the Spider-Man PS4 one came out quite a few years ago now. It was like
2018.
Oh, okay, it wasn't that far. Cool. And there was a little bit of, I think, post-release content, but Miles Morales is out now on PS4 and PS5. And as much as you would love to be using the PS5 in Jason's house, that he essentially refuses to use at this point, and you seem really chill about it.
I'm completely fine. Nothing.
But you've been playing on PS4 Pro at least.
No, just regular PS4.
I thought you had a PS4 Pro.
I do. So I've been playing it through with my brother.
Oh, right.
So at my apartment, I've got the Pro, and then back home, it's the Uncharted Limited Edition PS4. Do you want to brag? So we've
the worst.
Been playing through it on that because we played through Spider-Man together. So I'm kind of limited in like how much I can play because if I play ahead of him, it will be annoying. So you tag teaming the save file? No, so we're only playing on one user, and then he's like timing it for half an hour so that I get that period, and then he gets the next half hour because his brain is a calculator. So I'm like,
1995 or something? What the hell?
I'm like, as long as I get to play the game.
Mom says it's my turn to play the game now.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It's my turn to use the Xbox.
And I'll pick the game. Look, so you've been playing it.
We're a cooperative sibling duo, so it's like it works out all right. Yeah, so we've been playing it on that.
How's it been? How have you been finding it? Because you loved the original Spider-Man. Your Spider-Man poster has made a number of appearances through New Game Plus, filming at home. And, or maybe I dreamt that. You've got a Cyberpunk there. I think Spider-Man's behind you.
Oh,
like behind the laptop.
So the Spider-Verse ones are over there. And then the Harley... What is it? Harley, Poison Ivy, and Catwoman.
Because you're a comic book nerd as well, so that's your bias. That'll do it.
See, that's the thing is that, I think it's hard to review it objectively because I already know some things about Miles. So I'm like, for people who don't know too much about him, I don't know how warm of an introduction this game will be, but it is kind of a direct continuation of Spider-Man. So it kind of like you get a recap of what's happened to Miles in the first game, like, you say, I don't want to give spoilers because I don't know if you guys are going to play it, but
it definitely will be.
Like,
it's okay.
It's like obviously a thing that like he gets bitten by the spider and like he kind of is doing his run as Spider-Man, and so you see a little bit of that.
Is that the spoiler? Spider-Man got bit by the spider.
No, I meant Miles got bit by the spider. So you see kind of like a little bit of that, and then his dad passing away in this like explosion at this campaign rally. And then you see like a little bit of like him and Peter Parker's mentorship together, which I think is really cute. But I'm also happy that like Peter Parker isn't too much of a focus in this game because I think Miles' story is so rich as it is that it's like nice to actually explore him as a character and see his kind of run as Spider-Man and see how he's like responding to the world and everything. I
hesitate to ask because I'm very much outing myself as someone who has zero experience with Spider-Man, not just like the 2018 game.
Casual question. Yeah.
Well, that's the hope. You know, I'm the everyman. Someone's got to reel in the discussion. Well, in this case, I'm not. That's the problem. Like, you're not going to get into spoilers in this review because people are going there for that sort of like in-depth story about Miles. But what is, I guess, early on in the game, there are big differences between the original Spider-Man story and Miles' story in the way that it's told in the game?
Yeah, like how seamless do they connect it?
One of the main points of difference that I have really liked is the fact that it's set in Spanish Harlem. So there is kind of like a lot of Puerto Rican influence on it. And I think that the devs have really worked to be inclusive of those communities and like have that positive representation. So that's like something that's already stood out in the beginning. Like there was a bit where he was like speaking Spanish to a truck driver, and my brother was like, did we have this set on a different language? Because it's just like part of his like culture, which is really nice. And it's nice to see those cultural aspects like peppered in throughout the story, and you see like flags and stuff throughout his house. And so that's one thing that I've already noticed.
Does it change the level design? Like, does the setting change bits and pieces of how the world is laid out in meaningful ways?
It's New York. Like,
it's a hell of a town.
It's a hell of a town, yeah.
Okay, never mind. I misunderstood what you were meaning there. My bad.
Yeah, I'm not too sure with the level design just because I'm still early days. Like I have only played a few hours of it. So story-wise, I'm more so just excited to see. I think the thing for me is like in Into the Spider-Verse and in I've read a few volumes of the Ultimate Spider-Man series, and I think a lot of the iterations of Miles kind of it's like telling the same sort of story. And so I'm curious to see if this game differs from that at all, like especially with the whole Uncle Aaron Prowler thing, which is something that I was like personally really excited to see how they portrayed that, because I think in previous iterations it's felt like he's been this sort of like shady sort of character, and now it's like you're already kind of seeing he's more of a friendly like uncle type character. So I'm curious to see how they approach new characters. And even with the combat, like the gameplay kind of plays very similarly to Spider-Man, but there are a couple new additions. There's like the Venom Strike, like the Venom Punch, and then there's a Venom Ground Pound. I'm not sure what the proper name for it, but that's what I've been calling it. And that's really cool because I think you are kind of seeing more of what Miles is capable of as a character rather than him just copying the same movements as Peter Parker. And I think that will progress as the story goes on. Like you can modify the suit, you can modify the gadgets and things like that, which you could do in the previous game as well. But yeah, like the combat is like, it's one of my favorite games to kind of like, once you get into a rhythm, it feels really satisfying. And so I've really been enjoying that because it's like taking me back to when I first played Spider-Man, and it's like just good feelings because I'm like a massive nerd. And like
I really love that you've said that it's kind of like reinvigorating your love for the game and why you loved it in the first place. So that's all I really needed to hear to get back onto it for sure.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
I got to ask because based on the old one, have you played Arkham Asylum? Because combat is very Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
Like I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, if you don't have to reinvent the wheel, then steal from the best. So like if you're going to steal from Arkham, because Arkham's combat was great. You know, there was a rhythm to it. It was all that thing. But I guess obviously you have the addition here of, you know, with Spider-Man's unique powers instead of it being, you know, batarangs and all that kind of silliness instead. But I guess as, you know, someone who isn't old school like Spider-Man, you know, Marvel stand from the 90s. It's interesting that Spider-Verse did as well as it did. Like, as much as I enjoyed the new Tom Holland movies, and I really did, I think they're great, I think that Spider-Verse is perhaps like the more adventurous of the kind of things that they've shown. So, do you feel that they pay that off well enough by having Miles have his own unique thing? Because you know, if you think of Avengers, they've pushed Kamala Khan, they're pushing Miles Morales, they're pushing all these different like newer characters with, I guess, different stories that lead in, as opposed to Peter Parker, because we all know how Peter Parker goes. Like, if I have to see Green Goblin again, I'm just going to scream, you know, like, yeah,
exactly. And I think that's why I didn't want there to be such a focus on Peter Parker, because I'm like, we've seen this story, we've had Amazing Spider-Man, Ultimate, Spectacular. You know, we've seen Peter Parker, like we know his story inside and out. So I think as well, like for me personally, like Miles Morales has really only become a household name over the past few years. I think since Spider-Man Homecoming, when Childish Gambino it was like alluded that he was Miles's uncle. I think that's when my ears pricked up and I was like, ooh. And then he kind of made an appearance in Spider-Man, and now it's like and then Spider-Verse happened, and it's like that movie is like one of my favorite movies, period, like just aside from it being an animation and everything. And so I think that they're very aware of that. And I think that it's good that like it has the space now to kind of like just be and breathe and like let new fans kind of come in and find out who this character is and fall in love with him the same ways. Also, just go watch Into the Spider-Verse because it's a good movie. Like, it's really good.
Well, I mean, my argument is always that, you know, every movie nowadays is a cartoon anyway. Like, it's also CG designed and CG created. Just go watch an actual cartoon where they can just give up the pretense and make a cartoon. Like, yeah. And that Spider-Verse is definitely one of the better ones for especially that. And especially, like you say, expanding the Spider-Man mythos and taking it its own way with it, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I want to mention as well, I found out today, I put this in our Discord, but Najee Jeter, who's the actor who plays Miles, is the same actor that plays Sam in The Last of Us. And like, oof, I'm like in love with this game so much more now because I friggin' love that game. But I wanted to throw that in there because it was a fun fact.
Great nugget.
Today, so great nugget.
Miles Morales Spider-Man is out now on both PS4 and PS5. And I guess very quickly as well, do you feel like you're missing out playing it on PS4?
I don't think so. The only thing that I have taken note of is like everybody's been talking about the ray tracing and how that's kind of like this new amazing thing. And I saw like a photo of the like the NPCs in the reflection of the store window, but they were like T-posing. Because I think like it's more of a game that you spend more time in the air in, so it's not one that you spend a lot of time on the ground in. But honestly, I don't feel like it's lacking much. I mean, I think the PS4 itself is still a really great console, and that's not just me being sour that I don't have a PS5, but like it is like, you know, it's still an enjoyable experience, and it's like I'm of the mindset that I'm like, it doesn't matter what you're playing as long as you're playing it, you know. So yeah, like, it's fun. It's still good.
And if you're bitter that you don't have a PS5, not at all like M, you can enjoy it on PS4, which is very important. Stick with us here.
Send your emails to... Nah, don't bother. I'm not
don't send your emails. We don't want to...
I'm not worry about it.
Directly to Jason.
Don't waste energy.
You just won't get a reply. You're hanging out on New Game Plus TV. Stick around. We got more coming up in just a bit. G'day, you're vibing with us here on New Game Plus TV live on Twitch. And Em's like, oh my God, look at my knitting. You might be with us on C31, C44 or listening as a podcast, in which case check us out on any of the other places because then you can see Em's beautiful, you're making a rug, you said.
I'm crocheting a rug. Can you see it?
Hello, I think it's going to match with everything.
What is this, a rug for
Ants?
Yeah. Look, if we can
special for the Bugsnax.
Yeah, yes. Looks like a sombrero for the Bugsnax. So yeah.
I like it. I'm proud.
I'm Cringe here with
anyway, video games.
Don, M, and Jason. And Jason, you've been playing Hyrule Warriors AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, we like to call it.
That's the last time we did that one, I think.
For the best. So Hyrule Warriors...
What does AOC actually stand for?
Age of Calamity.
Hyrule
Warriors released...
I mean, that sounds like a Ben Shapiro name for a podcast. It's like AOC, Age of Calamity.
Stop talking about
that was original Alex Jones. The goddamn frogs again.
We need one more and he'll pop up on this stream. Let's not Beetlejuice him onto us.
Yeah, I know, right?
No.
So the original Hyrule Warriors came out. It was on Wii U, I'm pretty sure. And then
originally
it was then to 3DS, or maybe it was new 3DS, and then to Switch with the...
Yes, that is the order that it went. And the one on Switch was the definitive edition.
Yes.
It had all the DLC attached to it.
And so... when you call something definitive edition, the assumption is this is the complete package. Age of Calamity enters as not as like the Hyrule Warriors had its own sort of story thing, but it wasn't canon. And it's not canon in the same way that AOC is canon, where it is a direct prequel.
The Hyrule Warriors was like Warriors All Stars, so it was like all the Muso games, like Warriors All Stars games. Yeah, like the city. It was like here's characters from Dynasty Warriors. Here's characters from
It's
Samurai
Smash
Warriors.
Brothers.
Here's
That's
characters from DOA. Like, so it was like Hyrule Warriors, the first one was more like that. It was like, here's this thing that exists outside of reality. It doesn't have any real place in thing. Hope you like playing as Linkle and enjoy making all the Rule 34 of Linkle because you're not fucking creeps.
Please don't, but just...
Oh, God.
Anyway.
Delete your search history.
And it's the, I would say the biggest thing that to mention out of the gate is that it's put to you as the prequel to Breath of the Wild, and the answer is it's not, right? It's an alternate timeline, like,
of course.
and they do that right at the start, and of course they were going to do it because no one Nintendo's going to let them fuck with canon, right? They didn't even let Platinum make a Star Fox game properly, so they're not going to let Koei Tecmo fuck with canon. So. Yeah, your little guardian egg thing, little cute guardian egg, and you go back in time and you warn Link and you warn Zelda and you go get them all to pilot the things, and it's all about setting up a different timeline. And it's like, it's fine because I don't care. I just want to play a decent Musou game. But if you're going into it with that expectation, that's where it kind of grays the lines a little bit. So, with Musou games, you know what you're getting. You're going to walk into a group of 100 dudes, you're going to pull off some sick anime move, everyone's going to drop dead, and you're going to go, shit, I just killed 100 people, man. Like, pew! Like, and that's how Musou game works. And you're going to do that for 40 hours, right? And it's just the nature of a Musou game. This one obviously has all of the standard, all the characters, Link and Impa, and you get all the Guardians, and you get all the random characters and stuff like that. So in that sense, it plays very similar to every other Musou game you've ever played. One of the introductions that they have is everybody has the 4 tablet powers, the slate powers, so Cryosis, Magnesis,
Magnet's ice,
because I had to rule it, and then Stasis, so holding them in place.
Yeah.
And they all manifest in a different way, which is goes back to the way that Musou's play is like they might have the same weapon, but they use it a different way, or they might have this and they use it a different way. And you can equip different weapons for different characters, and it'll change the not only the combos that they do, which are nearly always YYYX, YX, YYX. It's always that same standard Musou combo, and they all have different strengths and weaknesses. Some are better for taking out one big enemy, some are better for taking out like hordes of enemies. That's legitimately how the game's played. But it's just a Musou game in Hyrule Breath of the Wild. And the nice thing with it is like there's a lot of cutscenes, there's a lot of interesting interactions between Zelda and Link, and you get to see Rivali be basically, Proto Falco. Like all of these things are things that I think are sorely lacking from Breath of the Wild. I still maintain the Breath of the Wild as an expression of emergent gameplay where real world physics affect everything in real time, and everything happened like get to the other side of the shrine. Doesn't matter how you do it. So if you manage to blow yourself up and knock yourself into the shrine, well then you passed it. It doesn't matter.
With half a heart, it's okay.
Yeah, with half a heart, doesn't matter. And that I've always enjoyed that about particular games. And as an example of that, Breath of the Wild succeeds as a Zelda game, as an epic adventure. It just doesn't. Like the best bits are the sad girl Zelda cutscenes, and then they ruin those, and she just becomes a fetch quest at the end. So for me, Breath of the Wild is like the worst Zelda game from the perspective of being a Zelda game. Not that any of them are particularly groundbreaking on that one, but this, at least you get to see a lot more interactions between the characters. Like you get to see, Impa when she's young talking to a young Zelda, trying to make sense of it all. You get to see the king be, his same kind of really punishingly straightforward self with Zelda. So there's lots of these interactions that you get to see more of. So in that way, it kind of fleshes it out. The problem is it goes back to not being canon. None of it technically counts. Which is a shame. Does that detract from
the fact that it's good? Like, if it is good character, writing and good story, does the fact that it doesn't technically count make it a negative experience?
The fact that you have to ask that question means that you're not a Zelda fan. Because if you're a Zelda fan, you are going to flip your shit over the fact that it's not the real thing. And I understand that that's a very broad brush to go for. But come on, you know what I mean?
Why have they done this, Jason? Why is it not canon? Like,
because they were never going to let Koei Tecmo touch canon. So that's the thing. It is technically a time travel spin-off, which is fine. Again, it's fine because if you played the previous one, you kind of know it's not going to be the same style of game. But yeah, the big issue boils down to the fact that quite simply, it's not technically the prequel that they said it was. And like, like I'm a heap into. I've unlocked all of the Guardians and all that, and there is a lot of game in it. Like, so obviously you've got the main quest, the main story quests, which have those cutscenes and stuff like that. But on top of that, you've also got like little like grinding levels. You've got the way they do buffs, like temporary buffs and stuff, is like the cooking. So you unlock different ingredients, you unlock the recipes, and then as you go into a battle, you can cook a recipe and it will add, say, plus 10% movement speed or plus 5% damage, or and so, and it's a similar thing with weapons. You level weapons into each other and they pick up the traits of the previous weapons and then they bring them into the new ones. So there's all that tropey stuff. You've done this 1,000 times, whether it's in a gacha game or whether it's in another one. And so for me, who loves Musou games anyway, like I unironically love Dynasty Warriors, it's fine. Like, it plays well. Certainly, like, you start to pick up each character and which one you prefer and which one you like, the style of play that you prefer and all these kind of things. And it is interesting a little bit to see how they've taken the story and how they've taken these interactions with the Guardians especially, and Zelda, and them agreeing to pilot the big Guardian ships and things like that. So
getting the robot.
Yeah, getting the robot Urbosa. But like, and so from that point of view, it's still enjoyable. I think the problem with it is a lot of the people are going to expect something out of it that it doesn't promise you in the first place. And that's a shame, because what is on offer here is a really good Musou game, like the way that it deals with and I will say shoehorn, but I don't mean it quite as negatively as that sounds. The way they shoehorn in the mechanics of Breath of the Wild, it's not quite as shallow as it sounds, but it's also not that deep because it's a Musou game. Like, it's more about killing 700 people than it is.
On that point, do you think that they missed something of an opportunity to? You talk about how exciting the imagined gameplay is of Breath of the Wild. Yeah. Is that at odds with a Musou game entirely?
But again, it goes back to. Like I've said multiple times in multiple different settings, Jack, I think that of all of the big companies, Nintendo is going to be the hardest hit by COVID. I don't think their infrastructure is in place to remotely deal with that. So this is a free win for them at Christmas. It's got the Zelda name on it. They're dialing it in. So they've shipped 3 million copies, which I think makes it individually the highest Musou game out of all of them.
Really?
Because you got to remember, like, people joke about Dynasty Warriors. If Dynasty Warriors sells 500,000 copies, that's pretty successful. Like, that's pretty good. Because then when they release Extreme Legends, that'll sell another 500,000 copies. Yeah. And that doesn't sound like big numbers, but people get caught up in this mindset of, it has to sell 7 million copies to be successful. And I'm like, does it? Like,
easy there, Square Enix.
I think people equate money with success.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, but also, ironically, given the grand scope of these Musou games, like I imagine that they're made on quite a small budget. Like, does that small budget philosophy push through to AOC, or does it feel like a what's called high production or higher production game?
Yeah, it's a higher production. Like, so you got to remember, Koei Tecmo obviously known for, like, so it's Dynasty Warriors, Samurai Warriors, Warriors All Stars. Like, they're known for it. It's a style of game they're known for. But Namco hired them to make Pirate Warriors, and Pirate Warriors 3 is still fantastic. Berserk has one. So then they'll happily sell Sword, and this is, they sell, like, I think they were surprised at how well the first Hyrule did, and this one seems like it's going to do equally good measure. And like I say, it's still fun. It's still super enjoyable. There's a lot to it from the point of view of there's still a lot of game attached to it. It's just, it's not the same kind of game that Breath of the Wild was. And while everyone, likes to diddle Breath of the Wild's balls, I don't think this is going to strike any of those dynamics that intrigued people about Breath of the Wild in the first place. And that's my concern for it. That said, as an individual Musou game, it's fine. Like, the handy part of it obviously is being able to play it on, like, in your hand. So it still looks
15 to 20 frames per second.
Yeah, look, it's not that bad. It has spikes, but it's pretty consistent with the frame rate. It's not EDF tier. So it's not
the original one was notorious for being, like, really poorly optimized.
I come from a different era. Like I say, I'm an EDF stan, right? So if I'm playing EDF and shut up. If I call an airstrike and suddenly the game lags and like the frame rate goes down to like 10 frames a second, I know I did good because that means I killed like 500 enemies. You know what I mean? Like, so for me, lag spikes are like, they've become part of the dopamine cycle, like the part of the reward cycle. So it's like, oh, there's a delay. I must have done, like, you do some special, like the most noticeable one is like Urbosa. She's got this, so she just basically comes in and goes like, fucking talk to me, and suddenly the lightning just hits everything around her. And the AoE is huge. And I mean, you'll kill 150 people in one hit. And that's the one that'll lag. Like, that's the one that'll go like, stuttery frame rate. But none of that bothers me. Like, it just doesn't impact my enjoyment of the game. It doesn't make the game unplayable. It doesn't really affect you. Like, missing one parry is unlikely to kill you. It's not like Dark Souls. It's not like, I mean, even Breath of the Wild to some extent, some of the attacks could do serious damage if you didn't parry it or block it or like jump around it. You don't have that problem. So as a result, it kind of doesn't matter if the lag spikes. But again, keep in mind, I play my Switch nearly exclusively handheld. So I didn't even plug it into the TV, and I really should for these kind of reviews. But I found the handheld performance was fine enough. And for a good, like, you know, today I had to go to the country, and then I had to wait for like half an hour. So it was perfect. I had timing for one mission. So I did played the mission. Perfect. Done. Turn it off.
In and
chucked
out.
it back in my bag.
Yep.
Yeah. So its strength to me is the fact that it's on handheld, because you can just do one of these missions, run around, feel like a sick cunt, like kill all these enemies, and then Bob's your uncle, you're out, like you're back out, you just turn it off and keep going on. And that's kind of been my cycle while I've been reviewing is, you know, do my Animal Crossing dailies.
Yes.
I downloaded Police Story, so I've been playing like 1 or 2 levels of that.
Yeah.
And then I'll go play like 1 or 2 levels of Hyrule Warriors, and it's like, this is fine. Like, yeah, my problem is it's Christmas, so I have to like, I've got so many games on my review list at the moment that I probably didn't. I mean, I still did a lot of grinding on it. Like, all my characters were well and truly leveled above what they needed to be, but at the same time, it still gave me a good feel for which one I'd prefer to play as. And then by the end of it, you kind of find which 1 or 2 you like really enjoy. But some missions force you to play as individual ones, so it's always worth doing these kind of side missions to level up all of your team, opposed to just being like 1 or 2. So.
Jace, I've got a hot question for you. I'm just going to interrupt you, Jack. I felt that one. We saw a teaser trailer at E3 earlier this year for Breath of the Wild 2. Do you know, have there been any whispers or gossipy rumors around a potential 2021 release?
It's pretty much confirmed, I thought.
Okay.
Like, yeah, like that's the strong rumor mill on it. The problem is Nintendo. Okay, so Nintendo first-party games. Name the 3 that they've announced. You've just named one, Breath of the Wild 2. Name the other one. Metroid. What's the other one? Exactly. So no one fucking knows. Like, this is what I mean. Like I said on other
3 counts.
Sorry?
Huh?
Does Bayonetta 3 count?
No.
I'd say it's more of a platinum game. That's a second party, but I hear what you're saying.
So 2.5.
Yeah, 2.5. So if you notice, the last few directs have been indie directs, and it's nearly always been like partner directs. So it's like, here's a game we're partnering with. Even the Hyrule one, it was technically a partnered game.
Yeah.
Like I've said, I'm said on podcast with Dermy and Jack Megan is, I think of all of the companies that like Microsoft and Sony and all these big devs, I think the ones that have suffered the most are probably Nintendo, because I just don't think their chain of kind of work is suited to this environment. And obviously, everything's going to suffer some kind of delay or some kind of disruption because of COVID. But I think more than anything else, Nintendo's going to cop the hardest. So I'm nearly convinced it'll be Christmas 2021, but then it'll be two Zelda games in 2 Christmases. So, you know what I mean? So that makes me wonder.
That doesn't count.
Yeah, I mean, look, you think of the launch. Think of the launch, right? So did they launch with Zelda? They did. They launched with Zelda, right, which was March.
It was March.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they launched with Zelda in March because the gamers will play Zelda. So the early adopters will pick up in thing, and then come Christmas, when they've got the supply issues sorted, the Nintendo classic supply issues, Odyssey comes out. Now normies play Odyssey. So it's that thing of like, you know, Nintendo know their brands enough to know what appeals to what. Yep. So Mario games appeals to normies. So the other one that they have announced was the 3D. Have they released the 3D World yet, or is it coming soon?
It's coming January or Feb. Yeah.
So that's what I mean. So like that, they're doing normie. So they flipped the script on it. It was gamers Christmas, normies February. You know what I mean? So like, that's how you view it. Is like, they released Pikmin 3. They released Pikmin 3. I loved it. I played it all the way through, but it was Pikmin 3 again.
Yeah.
Like I'd already played it. And it's got the Olimar side stories, and it's got co-op, like cash co-op, which it needs 3-player co-op anyway. There's no reason it never had it except they just didn't want to code it. But yeah, I'm the short version of that, Megan, is that I'm pretty sure it'll be Christmas 2021, but I also then wouldn't be surprised if they said we're going to go Feb, maybe even March, April 2022.
Jesus,
Big
come
goal.
on.
'Cause, I think they've got. I reckon they've got 1 or 2 in the pipeline. They haven't fired out yet.
They're holding
And,
close to the chest.
They have to.
Yeah.
It can't just be Metroid won't sell consoles. Do you know what I mean? Like Pokemon will sell consoles as much as the new Pokemon games are lame. They sell consoles. And I just don't think. Breath of the Wild, it'll sell consoles based on, especially if there's like a limited edition one. I mean, you've seen the power. Like you had, we do the normie gamer cycle. Animal Crossing. Hyrule Warriors, normie gamer. You know what I mean? So like, and I don't mean that in a nasty way. I played the shit out of Animal Crossing, but have you been on Facebook anytime recently? How many $260 Switch Lites have you seen with copies of Animal Crossing?
Yeah.
Like, if you ever want a Switch Lite, now's the time, because all the people who bought in don't want them anymore.
Although,
and so,
I want, you say that Nintendo's kind of in a sort of like they've got a kind of a dearth of content at the moment, but like. Unlike previous consoles where only Nintendo was making Nintendo games for their consoles,
just say the Wii U, it's fine.
They are in the unlikely position of having third-party support, almost too much third-party support.
Way too much.
If you consider the 60,000 games that get released on the eShop.
It's Steam Store bad. Like if I go to the deals on Xbox, right? So I go to deals on Xbox. There's maybe 150. It's all alphabetized. I can sort by category. I can sort by whatever, right? I go to the Nintendo store. 580 items are on special. Right, I can't filter. I can filter them from title. I can filter them from release date.
Yeah,
like I can't even alphabetize them.
It's so annoying.
It's no shit. Like, what I do, this is my pattern, and steal it if you want. It's the way I do it. Every week, I have a look at any new game in the new window, like the just released
new releases,
whatever. Right, and I look at anything that I think I might be interested in. I wish list it. Right, and then. If I'm ready to buy a game, if I'm like, I've got $15 credit. I've got a bunch of gold coins at the moment from buying stuff. So I've got like $25 worth of gold coins, right? So I'm like, time to buy some. So I have a look and I'll go through my wish list and I'll just look for the sale signs, and that's how I do it. And so
there will always be sales signs.
That's what I do
always
as
something.
well.
Yeah. But I found that's the only way I can do it. That I'm like, instead of having to just filter through the $3 crap, like they're putting like games on for 30 cents because people are like, well, 30 cents, I don't care. But then it appears as number one in bestsellers.
Right.
And so then suddenly it goes that way.
Indie devs.
Like despite the terrible state of curation in the eShop, which is a video that I've covered for New Game Plus and released on the level segment,
Plus on TV.
But despite all that, like the thing is though, like the Switch is no longer just considered the Nintendo box. As in, like people play Overcooked, people play Just Dance, people will play 20 potential Game of the Year Hades on Switch. So Nintendo,
we'll get to that.
like Nintendo can almost afford to to have kind of off season just because they're lucky to have this third party support. As much third party.
To continue the metaphor, the silence isn't deafening because there's so much noise. Like normally it's like it is because it's like one game every 6 months from Nintendo, and that was it, right? And they've been better than that about it. Like Pikmin was only 2 months ago, 6 weeks ago, maybe. And then it's been a Hyrule. So it's like, okay, well that's enough time for me to play Pikmin and maybe pick up something else or finish off something else. Then I've got Hyrule. You know what I mean? So if you are looking at it from first party releases, and obviously Nintendo is probably one of the more prolific first party releases. Sony's not been bad lately. Like they've had 2 a year kind of thing. But yeah, they've got so much of this filler coming up in the thing. And people seem to be willing to pay the Steam tax, the Switch tax, which, you know, you have a look at an indie game, go to the Xbox store. Like if it's not built for the handheld, go look at PSN or Xbox Live Store or Steam. I guarantee you'll find it cheaper. I guarantee it'll be like $10 cheaper.
Yep.
And so there's some games where I've looked at it, I'm like, as much as I'd like to play this on Switch, I don't need to play this on Switch.
Well, they're on Game Pass half the time anyway.
I know, or that or Game Pass. Spiritfarer, you know what I mean? Like Spiritfarer, I was like, do I pay $30 on like Switch for it? Nah. Like just the nature of the graphics work so much better on my 50-inch TV. So look, it's a long roundabout way of saying that. I feel like Hyrule Warriors is like it's the kind of the quiet, like they're doing the Mario 30th anniversary. Don't forget to buy Mario Sunshine if you want the All Stars pack before they remove it digitally next year.
Yeah.
And it has a GameCube controller.
Yeah, well, they added support for it finally. After all, we were telling you about. Have you got a GameCube controller?
No, but I'm going to invest in one after that.
Yeah, go back and give it a try with one.
Controls.
Realistically, I think Hyrule Warriors is I enjoyed it as a standalone Musou game. I think it's a great game. The Zelda fans are going to be upset, but they're what the Zelda fans are like. You just let them do their thing. Is it enough to kind of? I mean, 67 million Switches is 68 million Switches is something the number that we're at now. Yeah. It's already passed most of their consoles. It's going to start catching up on the hand. Well, it's past the 3DS. It's going to start catching up on the rest soon. Like, does it matter that it's just Hyrule Warriors? And I mean, 3 million copies to we said about Square Enix before. 3 million copies shipped might sound like a failure. But
for a Musou game, it's different.
It depends on what the contract says. It's like, we hire you to make this game. If you sell 2 million copies, we will pay you a bonus. Like, so from their point of view, it's like they probably got their bonus money, And it makes me sad because I'm a big DOA fan, big Koei Tecmo fan in general. Where's my Ninja Gaiden? Where's my DOA 6 last round that fixes all the goddamn problems with the game? That was Warriors All Stars. They put like 3 or 4 DOA characters. Anyway, weird. So I would wish they would stop cell sorting, but they're obviously making money. Like, they're obviously making money out of this arrangement. And I know they've got a big licensing deal in China for the Three Kingdoms stuff. So, like, to me, I as much as I love Koei Tecmo and I want them to release more games that I want to play, they're just making too much money doing this license jam. So, luckily, at least, Hyrule Warriors, for the most part, is a very fun Musou game. Just don't know how you're going to feel about it if you're a Zelda fan.
Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity is out now on Switch. Before we wrap up the show, a few things. Game of the Year, we are doing New Game Plus Game of the Year. That is in 2 weeks. Next week is going to be the last live show of the year. So it's the last one you'll be able to catch on Apple, on YouTube, on whatever else. Not YouTube, on Apple and on Twitch. Then we will have the Game of the Year episode go to YouTube only and to I can track it on podcast as well. We are going to have a Game of the Year form for viewers at home to vote in, because we are all going to be fighting to the death whether or not it is Hades or Animal Crossing getting Game of the Year this year. What are you going for this year, Jason?
Last of Us. It's Last of Us. Oh,
that's right. Yeah.
Dances,
Last of Us. That's going to be the holy trinity of Game of the Year contentions. The HSP view, the H being Hades, the S being Sony's Last of Us 2, and the P being
again. That's why I'm forcing myself to finish Sushi Miata before before thing, because I just want to see if it's going to do enough for me to change my viewpoint. But I don't think it will. I'm pretty convinced it'll be Last of Us 2.
I'm playing through The Last of Us 2 right now for Game of the Year consideration. I thought I had my top 3 sorted, but Last of Us 2 is making some pretty good arguments.
Where are you up to?
I've just hit the 10-hour mark, so I am about a third of the way through the game.
So you've done the open world bit, basically.
I'm in day 2, if that matters.
Gotcha. So the ending of the movie theater is the split point, and that's going to be the thing that either decides whether you make it part of your list or you don't make it part of your list. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I'll discuss with you in the spoiler channel of the New Game Plus Discord.
Yeah, so check out.
Yeah, so everyone, if you do join our Discord and you go to the spoiler channel, you get spoiled. Go fuck yourself, because it's called the spoiler channel.
It's named that for a reason.
You do not get any sympathy. Like, anyone can put any spoiler in there at any goddamn point, and as long as it's just in that channel, I ban them. It's called the spoiler channel. Like, it's there for a reason. People want to talk about shit they might be ahead of you. Like, yeah, the only time you'll see people get nasty is if it's in like general or something and it's like an obvious spoiler. And 9 times out of 10, I'll just delete it anyway. But yeah, if you do want to talk about Game of the Year, if you do want to talk about that, so jump on the Discord. Thank you to New Noise for the follow, by the way.
Yes.
Sorry, Jack, I'll let you.
No, it's all good. Next week is the last live show. We're probably going to end up talking about Sackboy, Black Ops Cold War, and Shadowlands, which I'm sure you're really excited about, Jason, talking about Blizzard games. Meg, do you reckon
Activision and Blizzard games?
Meg, do you reckon
have
you're going to
you
have an
how
interview?
good a guy Ronald Reagan is? Man, let me tell you about Call of Duty Cold War. Jesus fucking Christ.
Still working on the interview, Jack, for sure, but I'll keep you in the loop.
Party, and if you want to check out our Game of the Year episode, that is going to be live on YouTube and on C31 the 21st of December. C44 the 25th, you can see it on the 21st. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. That brings us to the end of this week's show. Very long show. If you're watching on C31 or C44, go and check us out on twitch.tv/NewGamePlusTV because you got a 25-minute episode. This show was 2.5 hours. So go and check out our Twitch shows, our podcasts, all of that. You can find at newgameplus.tv on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We are at NewGamePlusTV. And YouTube is where you can catch up on TV episodes if you've missed those as well. Meg, Don, M, Jason, thank you so much for joining me on this truly roller coaster of a week. My God. Everyone at home, thanks for vibing, and we'll catch you next time.